Hey Cameron, I am recording this video because you asked about the insurance policies that you could get at the lowest amount. I'm in favor of what's called an index universal life policy. I don't know how much you have looked into those, but they pretty much have the ability to compound interest so that you can earn the most over time, but guaranteed cash value. So any basic insurance policy has what's called different riders on it. And hopefully you can see this. A lot of policies come with depending upon the insurance company, they have a lot of different types of riders that you can get. This particular policy has what's called a Care for Life accelerated death benefit. With that type of rider, you will get, these are the riders, and you'll get benefits for payments up to 25% of your face value for critical illness, 50% of the face value for chronic, and 75% for terminal illness. So these are policies that will pay out. You don't have to die in order to get the face value benefit. If you become ill, they will pay out these certain percentages. There are some policies that exist that will pay you a certain amount if you become injured as well. But this particular type of policy doesn't have that type of coverage. I don't know if you've done any of that, but you can do your estate planning through this policy pretty much for free. It includes, wills, trusts, and other perks and benefits. And then you can do the lifetime income. And that is, I'm scrolling up here because what I set you up at for is the maximize the retirement income. There's different formulas that can be used to calculate your policy, but because you're interested in retirement, you're set for that particular type of calculation. And that particular lifetime income provides you with a monthly lifetime income, which can be activated between the ages of 50 and 85 years old. This particular policy has an activation fee. I don't know exactly what it is, but it probably isn't. They're not trying to get a whole bunch of money out of you. But I can show you, the illustration will show you what your monthly or the annual salary, quote unquote salary, you can receive off of the policy. Overloan protection, this is a technical thing, keeps the policy in force when there's a large outstanding loan balance. So if you were to take a loan out, if you were to borrow against the policy, they are working to make sure you can keep it in force. There's a long explanation to that, but sometimes if you overborrow, you can actually cause the policy to lapse. But with this guarantee, that won't happen. For you retiring, unless you come up with a real serious situation that you need to borrow against the loan, I would not recommend you borrowing against the loan because you're trying to maximize your annual payout for the loan. In policy year 3, you're able to take loans and the interest that's earned stays with the policy and it doesn't count against you. If you actually did do that, you would be not necessarily borrowing money from your policy, but you'll be borrowing money from the carrier, and then you pay them back at a very low interest rate. So those are some of the benefits of this particular type of policy with Ethos. And then the index allocation, you have the ability to choose what indexes you want to assign to your policy. So this one automatically does the S&P 500. You can put 100% in there, but you can also, there's other ones as well that you can split it up. And if you want to do 50% of the S&P 500, then you can maybe do BNP and 50% of that as well, but they have to add up to 100%. So it's up to you how you want to calculate that. And you decide every year, they usually do your birthday to update anything that you want to update. So as far as the policy itself, based on information that I think about you, that I know about you, you are a male, your birthday is still a wonder, I know I have it somewhere where your birthday is, but I put it as the 17th of August, 1974. I'm not sure exactly if that's right. You're in Ohio. The health class is standard. Have other health classes as well that are above standard, but we usually do standard for your illustration to make sure that is out at a guaranteed approval. Now, because you will usually submit type of doctor's report, health report to verify if you have any sort of diagnoses or taking any medication or anything like that, they may increase your health class to, and then there's one even above preferred. But we always start out at standard. And then you don't smoke, so it's no tobacco, which is a big difference because people that use tobacco, benefits go down tremendously. The premium, you wanted it to be the least amount possible. This particular type of policy, you can do $50 up to $250. We are creating this for retirement. It's going to go with the round number of 65 at retirement, and then 20 years where you actually get a withdrawal from the policy. Your annual benefit, you'll get that for 20 years. So up till you turn 85, you will get an annual amount. Now you can obviously change that. We can go all the way up to your years or whatever, but for just calculation purposes, we'll keep it at 20 right now. You want your benefit to be increasing, but then to level off once you finish your pay schedule, and you'll understand that a little bit more. So the death benefit will increase, and then it levels off at some point, and then it begins to decrease after you start getting your. So these are made real simple. And you can see over here, we've got your monthly premium set at $50. I do not recommend that for this type of policy. Your face value is $25,000. As you can see, is no guaranteed cash value at the age of 80 years old. So if it's $50 a month, you're obviously going to be paying $600 a year, and you will have $25,000, a little bit more than that coverage. As you get older, for this type of policy, it does, I want to show you the non-guaranteed. You see, this is non-guaranteed. I want to show you the guaranteed, because this is what the insurance company guarantees you will receive no matter what. So the age of 52, this is 51, year one, you will have paid up $600 for your annual fee. And then there's $25,000, your policy, throughout the lifetime of your policy. You're not going to get any money back. You see, if you look at this, it says annual distribution. You're not going to get anything back because you don't have enough money at $50 to build a cash value. So even though you won't have to pay your $600 a year anymore, you won't have to anymore, but you'll still get your $25,000, but it's only up until the age of 65, because you're just not putting enough money in there in this type of policy to the retirement. So if we were to say, we were to put, let's say $200 a month in, I'm going to recalculate, and you'll be able to see the difference in what you are actually going to get back. To be very honest, it's not going to be that much different. For somebody like you who is used to into the stock market, already know that small amount that you're putting in is not going to get you very many returns. I'll show you is based on $200 a month. So if you take a look at that, we make sure all your parameters are still correct. Yeah, we want that. So if we take a look at this, the annual premium stays the same. You'll pay it up until the time you're 64, or right before you're 65. Once you turn 65, you stop paying the premium, and annual disbursements will start. And so you'll get $2,800 a year. That's not per month. That is per year. And you'll start out with a death benefit of almost $33,000. And as you can see, it does increase as time goes by. Once you actually start to get your disbursements, that begins to decrease. So as far as guaranteed, you can see you're paying your annual, it's accumulating, and you have your death benefit here. You're going to pay the annual up until the age of 65, and that's when your disbursements will start. And it's have your death benefit, $27,000. You get all of those that I talked about earlier, and then will actually continue only until you turn 70. And then it kind of down the drain. So with these types of policies, again, want to get the biggest bang for your buck. You want to max fund. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go through max funding the policy, but that's really carefully to let you put as much into the policy as possible, it becoming taxable. You put in too much money into the policy, it becomes an investment, and then the government is able to tax what you actually have. These are non-taxed growth. And so if you want to add more to it, add more to the policy. There's people that do a lot of different things. They will take that's earned, maybe dividends, and take those and put them into the policy. The benefit of that, it doesn't have as much growth as aggressive type of growth policy, but it's guaranteed. So when the stock market falls, the money that you've gained or earned in that policy does not fall. Unlike where you would put money in, and depending upon the performance of the market, you can gain a lot, but then you also stand to lose a lot. And then people always say, well, it's pretty much the same thing because you're going to earn that money back. But that's not necessarily true, because if you have $10,000 and you lose $5,000, when the stock market recovers, you're starting at $5,000. And then you build your way back up to the 10, and then of course you go up higher than that. With these types of policies, you don't get as much percentage. It's not as aggressive. But if you have $10,000 and something happens in the stock market and it crashes, you stay at $10,000. And so when the stock market begins to build back up again, you start from the 10,000 and then you move up. You don't have to recover in order to continue to make your progress. And that's the reason why IULs are beneficial, because you don't lose your gains. Everything else, you lose your gains, right? So just for the sake of wrapping this up, and you can see the difference. Let's say, for instance, wanted to put $1,000 or $2,000 in it a month. Now, this is completely decision. A lot of people don't accept the IUL illustrations because this is quite a bit of money, and people think that you illustrate that so that we can get the biggest bang for our buck and like money out of your pocket. But we're actually putting money into your pocket, because the more you put into this type of account, the greater your returns want to be. And I'll show you all the things are the same. Have an increasing death benefit, and then it levels out. Your retirement years at 65. And so you start getting your annual withdrawal at 65, and you get it for 20 years. So by the time you turn 85, it'll end. So if I were to illustrate that for you, you can see, hold on, then $2,000 a month, that's obviously $2,000 a month is obviously $24,000 a year. Start doing that at the age of 51. So you're paying your $24,000, you have a $342,000 death benefit. Like you were to have, heaven forbid, a diagnosis, and I think one of the writers said you could get 50%. You would be getting 50% of the face value of this. Whereas if you had the $25,000 policy, you would get 50% of the $25,000 policy. So the more your face value is, the better your writers are in the case that you actually need them. So the important part is you're paying $24,000 per year and you're doing that up until the age of 64. At 65, you begin to get your annual distribution. And as you can see, it is significantly higher than the other ones because the more money you put in, the greater your compound interest. And so every year you would get the $32,000, almost $33,000. And as you can see, the death benefit it maxes out at $554,000. But then when when your retirement starts, your annual distribution begins to fall because these two feed off of each other, right? So the more you gain here, the more you can retrieve here. And the biggest part is most people don't need as much as they get older, go into retirement, because like a child doesn't have that many and things of that nature. As we get older, you've had children, your children would hopefully be self-sufficient, so that it's not like you have to take care of them financially. So it's just a quick illustration. This goes all the way up until where your life insurance policy eventually will end. So if you were interested in making sure you have a lifetime life insurance policy, you can do what they call stack your policy, and you would get a very basic term policy, basic guaranteed policy that does not end. You'll continue to have your death benefit. You might not need your death benefit because you may already have funeral plan or something like that. So the death benefit is not necessary. You would, after this ends, you do lose your riders because there's nothing to gain from the riders, but you are receiving $32,000, and you'll continue to receive that $32,000 annual fee for the 25 years, so up to 85 years, and then it ends. So is a very brief, well, not necessarily brief, but a quick overview of what you are able to do with these types of policies. This is Ethos. There's tons of other that have different benefits. They are all pretty much the same as far as the offerings, what you can get from the policy. They just vary on the amounts of the benefits that you actually can receive. If you wanted to only do the 1,000, I'll show you that real quick and then I'll end the video. So if you only did 1,000 per year, all the same, then if you take a look at let's go to guaranteed values here. And so $1,000 a year obviously is $1,000 a month is obviously $12,000 a year. You would pay that. It's collecting and add to your distribution. That once you turn 65, your death benefit begins to decrease. That money pours over into your distribution, and you're able to get that $16,000 to add to or supplement whatever other insurance you may have until the age of 85, up to the age of 84. So yeah, that's how that works. If you got any questions with me, let me know, and then determine how much you want to invest per year. If you want to look at some other numbers, I can calculate that for you too, and that helps give you some information that'll be useful for what you want to do. All right. Talk to you later. Thank you.